Hey guys, happy Tuesday, March 7th. I'm excited about tonight's call, super excited. I've actually asked Jorge for a while for this call because I think that he is the best person that can share his experience because he lives it, right? But before
living it,
or still living it, yes. So before we get started, I just want to say that we had an amazing time at Danny Johnson, as always, of course. But the icing on the cake was really spending time with Maritza and Victor and Amy and Ryan. I mean, it was like a really kind of surreal experience to, be in New York, and obviously, we get to spend time with each other at fit clubs and trainings, but we have other team members that are out of state, right? We have people all over really the US. And so just being able to go there and not only go for something so special as, investing in ourselves, but be able to celebrate them and really just get to know them on a more personal level, and then get to know their husbands and get to know more about their stories. And it was just so special. It's something that I don't even know how to explain, but we really left there so full. And so I'm just really happy that we were able to do that. And I can't wait to, have everyone be together at Summit, because there's nothing like, that bond that happens when we're together as a team. So I wanted to, say that. And so without further ado, we're going to give the floor to my husband, Jorge Lopez, who, I've known for, since 1996. And, now he is the father of my son Matias, and he is our back office, right? He's a one-star diamond coach, and tonight he's going to share, what he's experienced from the outside looking in, and basically his perspective as to all of this Beachbody business.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to connect Matias with his iPad, or he's going to drive us crazy, and I'm just having some difficulties logging in. I apologize.
So
okay.
This
Ooh, who's that?
Oh, it's for Manolo.
Manolo.
Yeah.
Yay, Jorge.
Yeah.
So here, I'm gonna.
Sí.
Do you want here? Enter it. Oh, is this it?
Enter the password.
Oh, okay. So I'll do that. Oh, Matias wants to see Manolo.
Manolo. And then that number that's right there.
All right. So I'm gonna share the screen. You want to say hi first?
What's up, guys? How you doing? I was expecting like some lights and confetti to come down, but I guess that didn't happen. Nice. All right.
All right. So we're gonna share the screen. Hang on one sec.
Questions, anybody?
No, they can't see it yet. All right, here we go. So we're gonna share the screen, and boom. Can you see the screen? Yeah. Okay. So.
Presentation.
I don't know, on the top. Yeah, here we go. There you go.
All right, guys. So thank you very much for having me on the call tonight. I really think this is definitely a really good topic to share, because we get the question asked a lot. I hear a lot of coaches, not only on our team, but just coaches from various teams, that are always asking that, how do we get support from a spouse? That be a wife to a husband, husband to a wife. And this, obviously, in our situation, it's a husband to Gabriela. And what we have been doing over the last 3 years, and what I have been doing for the last 3 years to maintain that support, and wanted to continue taking this to the top. Okay. So This is my introduction. As you can see there, I am Jorge Lopez. I am the co-founder of Team Advent. I'm a one-star diamond coach, but we all know that's Gabby's diamond. Gabby's put that together, and AKA I always jokingly talk about me being the back office.
We put that together.
Yeah, well, we put that together, exactly. And then I have Matias all over the place. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody? Okay. All right. So just end there. Can I just end it from here?
Right here, no.
Oh.
You can just hit right here.
Okay. So a couple of things about this presentation. What this presentation is not about. So obviously it's not about the fool that is on the screen. This presentation is not about me, baby. Yeah, this presentation is not about me, although I'm going to be giving it. And I know that when you see the heading of this presentation, you think I'm just probably going to talk about myself, but that you're incorrect. So this presentation is not about me. What else is this presentation not about? It's this presentation is not about convincing your spouse of what this opportunity can do for you and your family. You know, Gabby and myself, we're not in the convincing business. So if you still need to be convinced if this is something that it is good for you, then that's something that you just need to look in the mirror and check for yourself to see if it's something that you want to continue doing. But we do not try to convince anybody if this is the right opportunity. This has been the right opportunity for us for the last 3 years, and it's going to continue to be the right opportunity. And we're going to go over a couple of things as to why, in my eyes, I see this as I continue to be the back office. So once again, we are not in the convincing business, but we are in the business of helping people live healthy and fulfilling lifestyles. And that is physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, and in all different areas. And like I said, if you still need a little convincing of that, then I guess, like I said, mirror check and apply yourself, and then we'll obviously be able to answer some of those questions for you. There you go. Okay, I just can't hit enter and it goes. Let me just try. Hold on. I'm just gonna try something. Yeah. Okay. So what this presentation is about? It's about you. It's about you. It's about everybody that's on this call. It's about your spouses. It's about everybody that really is in the family of Team Advent. But most importantly, it is about you. And like I said, if you need to be convinced about if this opportunity is the right choice for you, that's something that you can only answer yourself, no matter how much information, how much guidance, the tools, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if you don't apply yourself, you're not going to get any results from it. So this presentation is all about you already. So moving on. So I just want to take you through my journey. A lot of you guys have heard, but I know we have some new people on the call tonight, and some new people on the team, and we're everlasting creating new people on the team. So just wanted to kind of take you through what my journey looked like and getting started with this whole journey that we're taking, which has been 3 years strong. So how it all started. So basically 3 years ago, actually over 3 years ago, when Gabby and I had our first and only child, Matias, Gabby decided that she definitely wanted to lose the that Gabby decided that she wanted to lose the post-baby fat, so we decided to do something about it. So prior to that, I have been the person that I've always played soccer. I like to run. I've never really been a freak in the weights or anything like that in the gym, but I just like to do cardio and run and like I said, play soccer, play basketball. But Gab wasn't about that. Gab wasn't, hey, Gab, let's go for a run, let's go for a walk. And Gab just basically was like, I'm not interested. She was a couch potato. So we started with this journey, and through a mutual relationship that we had, a photographer at the time that took some of our baby photos and our maternity photos, we started following her. Gabby started following her on Facebook and saw that she was doing a lot of different exercises. So we decided to, heck, let's give this a shot. And we both agreed that, hey, it's 25 minutes a day. And if we can't commit to 25 minutes a day, especially you, Gab, then we really, then we have bigger problems. So Gab said, I'm going to do it. And she said, will you do it with me? And I said, let's go for it. And after the full T25 workout, we were diligent with it. I can't speak for Gab, but I myself lost 16 pounds. And that was basically the journey of Beachbody. But at the time, it was strictly for just getting into better shape. And then we were looking for other programs and continuing that from there. But at that point, it was strictly just, we're drinking the Shakeology shake. I don't know how I totally feel about it yet. It feels okay. The workouts worked. The diet was on point, or my meal planning was on point, and the 16 pounds just came coming off quickly, and people started asking what was going on, right? So during that plan, when we had the baby, we decided that Gab was gonna stay home for 3 years. 3 years she was gonna stay home. Luckily, with my job, I would be able to support the family, and Gab would stay home, and she was gonna watch Matia, so we didn't have to worry about putting them in daycare with so many crazy things. I guess we're a little paranoid with things like that you see lately, and we just decided and agreed together that 3 years was going to be the cutoff point, and she was going to go back to corporate America and go back to work. So during that 3 years, or the initial 3 years, a lot of things started happening. Gabby continued to work out. I did myself. People were asking me at my job, or clients of mine, what are you doing? I shedded 16 pounds. I had people telling me that I lost 50 pounds, and I'm like, well, I didn't even think I was that heavy, but all right, 50 pounds if you think. I only lost 16, and they kept on arguing like, no, you lost more than 25. And I'm like, wow, I looked that good at the time. So I knew that this thing was working, so we wanted to continue going. So Gabby basically just started sharing her story with no idea, with no sense, no plan of that this was going to turn to what it turned to today and what it's turning into today. So she started sharing her story. And then all of a sudden, sharing that story, she started meeting people online, and some people from the New York area here who started inviting us to Super Saturdays. And so Super Saturdays, what was that? So we decided to go with that. I'm like, okay, you're going to go to Super Saturday. I obviously had to drive her because Gabby doesn't drive. So I was kind of forced to go to the Super Saturdays. And then she just kept on inviting people. People were asking her about what was she doing. People were following her and joining her on her journey. And I was like, yeah, everything is great. And you like what you do, Gab. Go for it. Do it. You got 3 years to do whatever you want to do anyway. So as long as you're occupying your mind, if you're happy, I'm happy. And then Cancun happened, which is a Success Club trip that for those who are going this year to the Dominican Republic, we all know what the Success Club trip is a way that Beachbody sort of gauges and rewards coaches who have been hitting Success Club, consecutively in their business month after month to get invited for a paid trip of wherever it's going to be at that year. That year back in, 2013, 14? 15, I'm sorry, 2015, it was Cancun. And I remember that day vividly because I was at work and my phone kept ringing. And I'm talking, I'm with one of my doctors. I'm in the dental industry, for those who don't know. I was talking to one of my doctors, and I see the call. Gab called. Okay, she knows that I'm working. And then she called me again, and I'm looking at my phone, and it was a third time. And the doctor was actually, maybe you should take that call. It could be an emergency. And I just totally didn't even think that it could have been an emergency. And so I pick up the phone. I'm like, what's up, Gab? And she's just like ecstatic screaming. She's like, we got into this trip. And I'm like, what trip? She's like, the Cancun trip that I had mentioned to you about. I'm like, okay, with Beachbody. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Gab, I'm working. Can we talk about this when we get home? And that's where, like I said, that was the beginning of me really understanding or getting a good sense of what this business was about. So that's kind of that was where my aha moment came. So that's where the start. All right. So we're going to get back to that Success Club trip, but first, I want to talk about how to get your spouses to buy in. Like I said, we're always challenging. We have coaches on the team. We hear from coaches all over the place who talk about, my wife doesn't respect me, or not that she doesn't respect me, just doesn't really buy into it. Or usually we hear it's on the other side, it's the husband, and the husband is just like, it's, that's the flavor of the month, and you're going to do something different, and not really give you your place for that. So like I said, this call is not about me. This call is not to convince any spouse, once again, to give you your place per se. This is just basically on how I started really giving Gabriella her place when she started doing this business, and the things that I saw that continued to allow me to say, I'll give you your place, honey. I respect it. We're going places with this. Keep going. So first one there is a couple of these are repetitive. You're going to know some of these, but some of them you're not. But treat this business treat this as a business, not as a hobby. And we all know what that basically means. My hobby is soccer, and Gab never respects it because, quite frankly, it's just a hobby, and I don't bring home the bacon doing it, which I enjoy doing so much. So, if you want to get your spouse's buy-in, treat this as a business and show them different. Invest in yourself. Plug into all events and trainings and seminars. So since day one, I've been going with Gab, and she goes a lot to the majority of the programs, but I've been going along with her because I myself wanted to do my due diligence and to kind of find out what this business is about. Backtrack just for a second. I grew up in the era of Amway, and for those who are probably my age or even older, back in the late 90s, Amway was a big thing. Everybody would hit up everybody and say, I got this awesome business opportunity, and kind of like trick you to come into like a meeting and sell you on this whole big dream. I'll give you a quick story about that. I've been in dental for 20 years, and I had a dentist who called me up one day, a dentist that I was working with back in Brooklyn for many years, and he calls me up and he says to me, he's like, Jorge, I got this business opportunity that I wanted to, that I have. And as I'm thinking as who I would like to share this business opportunity with, I've been working with you. You're very outgoing, and you are the person that I want to be able to share this business opportunity with. Are you available Wednesday at 8 o'clock? And I'm like, yeah, right? Because I respected this dentist making great money. I respected this dentist. And through my mind for the next couple of days, I'm thinking he wants to open up a dental practice and have me as a partner because I know a lot about marketing and, and just the whole business world. And so I was thinking that he wanted to go into partnership with the dental practice. So I was really excited because that meant possibly big money. And so, fast forward to that day, I show up to his house, very nice house, and there's this meeting. There's a bunch of fold-up chairs, and they start talking about Amway. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was so very fishy, way of them presenting the business, that they knew that if they were just to tell you what they were doing, that you probably would never go to the program anyway, right? Or to the meetings, if you will. So I was kind of forced to buy into like a $200 package or something and start selling, soap and products to everybody in your family. And I just was scarred. I was like totally scarred with that. And every time I heard somebody say, I got a good business opportunity for you, I was like, yeah, I knew something was up. So I knew it was too good to be true. So that was my story on how I was scarred with MLMs. So the next bullet point is show me the money. That was one of the things, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be home and you're going to be a homemaker, which is a very big, it's a great job. It's a hard job. It's a respectable job, because obviously growing a child is difficult. So I'm not downplaying that whatsoever. But the goal was always that eventually you're going to get back to work so that we can have that other income and we can definitely do things with our life together. But then the money started rolling in, right? Or showing me the money, and that's what kept me lured. So we'll explain a little bit more about that as well. And then just be here a year from now. Exactly. Be here a year from now. And we always told, and Gab always said to me, oh, I went to this workshop and they talked about being here. Just give it one more year. Give it one more year. And if you totally don't see any change from that 1 year to the next, then you need to reevaluate, right? But, if you're doing all the things that you need to do, and we'll get those in the next upcoming slides, you're definitely going to see change, because, you're not going to be stagnant and you're going to see improvement. And we've kept on saying, let's just give it one more year. And we realized that from that year to the next, we were making big advancements. So once again, treat this like a business, not a hobby. So what does that look like? So looking at Gab and just watching her, I would go to work and literally, Gab being stay-at-home mom, and I understand that a lot of people here have jobs. So this is going to be something that's going to fit into your lifestyle, into your mode. But we're talking about how it fit into ours. I would literally leave here in the morning, and Gab would be sitting where I'm sitting. We're at the table, starting her day, doing her things, checking her Facebook, whatever she was doing that was with the business. I would get home and she was still doing it. And I'm like, really? You're still doing it? She's like, she's kept on doing it and kept on doing it. And she basically, sat in the same chair for the last 3 years, to the point that it actually has a rip in the cover, because she would stay there. And I'm like, wow, how do you do that? Because one of the reasons I went into sales is because I I can't stay still. You know, I got to continue to move. I would drive people crazy if I worked in an office. And the fact that Gab was just continuously there, plugged in, reaching out to people, it was just mind-boggling to me. And I was like, well, okay, you see that you're taking this seriously, so keep going. So and what we realized is that consistency is the key for the compound effect. So for those of you who have not read The Compound Effect, it's definitely a book, and I'm going to talk about a few books here, but it's definitely a book that you need to read to get your mind right. And in that book, he talks about Big Mo. And if you don't know what Big Mo means, it means big momentum, right? So it takes a long time. If you think about a train, think about a train, especially those trains that from back in the days that you put coal in and they blew steam on, they go, you know, those old Western type of trains. You notice that when they were taking off, they took really sluggish and slow to get going. But once they built that momentum, that train was hauling down the tracks, right? So that's really what, you know, when you see the physics of a train, it really pertains to everything that you're doing in life. So I forgot his name. Del, what's his name? Compound Effect. It'll come to me. The author of the book, I'm sorry, we read all his books. I can't remember his name, Darren Hardy. So what Darren Hardy said, in order for you, if you start something, in this particular, it's a business of a sorts, you know, if you're consistently doing small activities every day, those are going to compound together and build that momentum. And Big Mo will come knocking at your door on an average of about 25 to 30 months into you doing that same activity over and over and over again. And I have to tell you that, you know, I read that book and I said, okay, I said, if anything, Gab, if you want to continue, let's give it 30 months. Let's give it 30 months because he says some things that are interesting there. And I said, let's just give it 30 months and let's see where it goes. And so we did. And it's been 35 months? 35 months so far. And we have seen Big Mo approach Team Advent. And we've seen it in the sense of the various coaches that have joined the team, the various activities that we have that we've done with the team, and the problem, so to speak, getting bigger. And if you've read the 10X rule, you notice that if you have problems, the bigger your problems when you're doing a business, the better your business is getting. So bigger problems mean you're doing good things, right? So that's one of the things that we saw, and we definitely saw a lot of momentum. Invest in yourself. So there's three types of investments. There's stock investments, which I've been lucky to do with my company and getting stock options and shares for my company and just other things that I've done. There's real estate, which is a fantastic investment. And then the third investment is investing in yourself. So when you're dealing with stocks, you know, stocks is no matter how good you are in stocks and how lucky you are, you're going to make some money. Absolutely, you're going to make some money. You're going to get some return on your investment, but you're also going to lose some money because that's sort of like the physics of stocks. When it comes to real estate is probably one of the most sound investments that you can do because you're dealing with appreciation, you're dealing with rentals or whatever type of real estate you're in. But if you're not educated enough when you're doing real estate, meaning you're not doing the personal development, if you will, to get you educated in real estate, you can lose money as well. So you got to make sure, and a lot of people that I speak to, when they've jumped into real estate, they've lost money initially, but then they're making way more. So real estate is a fantastic, and that's actually something that I'm looking to evolve into as well. But when you're investing yourself, as long as you're applying everything that you're learning, you can expect 100% guaranteed on your return of that personal development. And that just for us has been totally has played true for our investment. And we've invested in the last 3 years in ourselves so much than I've ever invested in myself prior, let's say in the prior 20 years, nowhere near than what we've invested in the last 3 years. And we're definitely seeing the ROI, the return on investment, come, twofold, tenfold. And we'll explain a little bit more on that. So you got to look at investing in yourself as an investment and not as an expense. And, when we were just at Danny Johnson, and we keep on talking about Danny because she's one of the people. We're doing a lot of personal development, but we're sticking with her because we believe in her philosophy. There's a lot of different types of personal development, and this call is not about the types of personal development, but I just wanted to elaborate on this. we're choosing to stay with Danny because we believe in her philosophy, right? Then there's a lot of other personal development that talks about the mechanics of stuff, not really the philosophy. So we believe in her philosophy, but we're also taking another course in another month down in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, that has to do with more of execution and how to do that in your business. And we'll talk about that more as we get closer, because we're going to share that with you guys. But so that you have an idea of the different types of philosophers, if you will, when it comes to personal development. You have Tony Robbins. You know, a lot of people follow Tony Robbins, and he has his philosophy of personal development. Danny Johnson's another, and we have Maxwell does another one. So these are all guys and gals who do personal development on top of mechanics, on top of philosophy. So we're sticking with her philosophy. Super Saturdays, summits, live trainings, and seminars. Those are all investments that the people or the teammates that have gone. You know, it's been an investment in being away from your families. It's been an investment financially. It's been an investment in time. And it's been an investment in just really getting out of your comfort zone and getting around other people that you most likely normally wouldn't be around. So all those play into the investing in yourself, and we'll elaborate on that a little bit more as well. So talking about the evolution. So a lot of you guys, if not everybody, except Mauro, because I saw Mauro, and he'll laugh and he'll attest to this. But I want to talk about Gab's evolution in personal development. I'm also going to talk about my evolution and what personal development has done for us. And the woman that I married, how long ago was it? When we met? What was it, 15 years ago?
We've been together for 12.
Whatever. Yeah. So it's not like 45 years like the Rosas, but it's close.
Hey, it's 12.
It's 12. Okay.
It's 12.
So the Gab that I met back then, that I married, and so I put this here, as you can see, as before PD. You know, she grew up in the Bronx. You know, she only knew the Bronx. I call it the South Bronx. She said it wasn't the South Bronx, but it was ghetto where she lived. And but Gab was a person that everybody was out to get her. You know, sort of like, what are you looking at? You know, a person's looking at me. Why are you looking at me? You know, that type of person that just had that mentality of that everyone was out to get her. She stayed in her comfort zone. She stayed in her circle of friends, where it gets her a comfort zone. You know, stayed in the same like-minded people that she grew up with, and never really evolved away from that. Even though she went to college, she still remained near those people. You know, when I had company functions, you know, we would go into like, if it was a Christmas party, if it was whatever it was a company function, you know, we would get into I don't want to say a small altercation in the car, because the conversation went like this: whatever you do, do not leave me alone at this party, because I know how you are. You go off and you start talking to this person. You go off and you start talking to that person. And here I am by myself. And I would say, well, just stick close by, because, you know, I'm very social as well. And in my industry, you know, I'm networking with people, or just talking with people, and just saying hi with people. And Gab was like, you know, when you have a little son, or when your kids are small, they're shy and they hold on to your leg. Not to that extreme, but Gab was, and if God forbid, I left her alone for a second, and she felt like she was standing there and people were looking at her because she was alone, that was another argument after the party. So, you know, we're talking, you know, so a lot of you guys don't know this Gab, and so you can't really relate. But when I see her evolution, I'm mind-boggled beyond belief of the person that she's grown into. And it's all because, not college, because college did not do that for her, but it was that, you know, that personal development, entrepreneurial mindset that got her there. She was petrified of public speaking. She would be at her job at HR. She had to do a presentation to all the employees about the benefits or whatever it was, or the hiring process. And she would literally have anxiety for a month. And at night then she was like, oh my God, like things were on her mind. I'm like, babe, what's wrong? She was like, I can't, I don't know how I'm going to do this presentation. Mind you, this presentation was like 3 weeks away. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, it's 3 weeks away. Like, I'm like, let me help you. Like, what? Because I don't have a problem talking in front of anybody, because it's just what I've been doing forever. And she would just be like, I can't do this. And I'm like, wow, you need to relax. I just didn't get it, to the point where she would even cry. And I know Mauro can attest to that, because he's the same way. So, Mauro, you need PD. And she had an ego. You know, she had an ego where, you know, what she knew was what was everything. Her way was the right way. And I'm not talking just in our relationship. I'm just talking her philosophy was her philosophy. Her belief was her belief. And nobody was changing that. So the Gab after PD has become confident, has become secure. She has posture, friendly, outgoing. I mean, she talks to people, strangers, more than I do now. I don't really talk to strangers, but she does. She has eye contact with people, and she sparks up small conversation. She forms people wherever we are, which is part of, seeing if that's something, just planting those seeds for potential future, introducing herself, providing her contact information for future conversations. She totally steps out of her comfort zone. She's become a public speaker, as we all know, because she speaks way better than me now on this call. She has spoken at La Cumbre at the summit, which for me was like the all-time feat, that she was actually up there and speaking with no problem or no hesitation whatsoever. She has been a guest speaker, at tons of teams, Beachbody teams across the country that have invited her to speak. She takes risks. She's asking me for ideas. Should we do this? Should we not? Let's just do it. Let's not think about it, and let's do it. That was never the gap, because she always thought about or had a plan out how everything was going to work. Now she jumps in. She's super teachable, and she's coachable, which all relates to her checking her ego at the door, and has no ego, because now she's an open book, and she's just a sponge, and she sees that she can learn from everybody. And that's huge, because when you do personal development, it really teaches you to be, or to try to place yourself, or to be the dumbest person in the room, and always surround yourself with people who either are, know more than you, or you're even curious. She's even curious to ask questions just to find out what they must know, something that she doesn't know, and she wants to know that. So she has no problem with reaching out to people for that assistance, or, for that knowledge. My evolution, really quickly, I won't bore you with my evolution, but my evolution was impatient. Still working on that. That's a work in process, but I was very impatient. A know-it-all. Like I said, I've been in dental for 20 years, and in dental and in sales, and whoever's in, people who are in sales here can relate. There's a lot of sales books that you should be taking, you should be reading, and I never read. I mean, I never listened to audio. I never read, and I just didn't think that, and not that I wasn't necessarily a know-it-all, but I don't think I'm going to learn anything new, so it was sort of, I guess that's all I'm saying. But, and I didn't think PD was needed until we actually went to Danny Johnson. I was one of the, even though I was doing PD prior to that, it took PD and it took Gab to start doing PD and to saying, hey, I read this book, you should put this book. And I was doing a lot of driving in the last 2 years with my job, and she was just getting the Audible app and just putting on these books and saying, check this book out. I like this book because of this. Why don't you listen to it, and then let's talk about it. And it was like, great. So I was listening to a lot of books, because I'm a horrible reader. I'll end up falling asleep. So I was just listening to a lot of audio in the car that really started getting me into the mindset. And prior to this, she had heard about Danny Johnson, and it literally took her about 7 to 8 months to convince me to go. Because I said, well, let me see what this is about. For me, that I'm going to take a trip that's outside of New York to go listen to a speaker, I only did that at work. And if it wasn't coming out of my pocket, I'll think about it. But if it was coming out of my pocket, that was, she had to sell it hard, right? I just never thought like that. And then finally she convinced me. I said, all right, let's do it. And I'm not going to lie. It was in Orlando, Florida, which I said, well, if we're going to be there, let's just take Matias to Disneyland or Disney World, whatever it's called. And that was really the main reason. If it was in Cleveland, Ohio, I probably wouldn't have gone. Eventually I would have gone. I'm sorry. You're actually right. Cleveland, Ohio was in the summer in July, and I actually said, no, let's not go. And then that's when she got me to go in January. And it was because I was seeing it as taking Matias to Disneyland or Disney World, whatever. And it was like, okay, we're going to go. But ever since we went to Danny Johnson, wow. I mean, for us, it was just the biggest aha moment. And it had just really opened the doors for a lot of other things. It's really unexplainable. You can't really explain. You have to experience it for yourself. But we're going to stay true to Danny Johnson because he's been doing a lot. And I'll tell you exactly what it's done for us in the upcoming slides. I was a bad listener, very pessimistic, where I never saw the positive in things. I saw, I just saw the negative, and I just lived, kind of day by day with no guidance. And I had an ego. We all have an ego. My ego was that I just, I couldn't learn from that. If somebody was either under me in the sense of tenure or whatever it was, you're not going to teach me anything, and that's totally false. After PD, I'm more patient. I enjoy PD now because it's amazing all the things that you learn. and getting your mind right. I'm a better listener. I'm very optimistic, and definitely my ego has been checked at the door. So next slide, show me the money. So this is how I started seeing the change, because we would, Gab would always be excited and say, when we first started, she said, and her coach at the time, who said to her, do you want to do this as a business? Let me step back really quickly before that story, because I've actually had told Gab, I mentioned to her back in the days, I said, Gab, you should look into doing sales. This was prior to Beachbody. Maybe doing what I do, because since I work out of home, I don't go into a physical office. I just meet my doctors. I said, how great would it be that you have the flexibility that I have instead of going into an office and, we can, you're flexible. You can do this, you can do that. And Gab was like, nah, I don't talk to people. People start talking to me sideways. I'm just not going to have that. I'm not going to put myself in front of people and do sales. No, I'll end up cursing like one of your doctors out, just because sometimes they're a little very arrogant, and they try to talk to you, they talk down to you sometimes. And Gab would hear some of my conversations with my doctors, and she's like, no, I'm not cut out for that. I'm not going to do that. I'll get fired right away. So when she started, the reason I told you that story is because now you'll see the transition into the business. So when she started the business, and she was paying for her one bag of Shakeology, and then I started drinking the shake, but I liked the different flavor. Now that was 2 bags of Shakeology. We were like, okay. Her coach was like, well, if you don't see this as a business or want to do this business, at least invite people, because they're hitting you up on Facebook already as it is. Invite 3 people so that we all know it can pay for your Shakeology. So that was the goal. And I know you've heard this countless times from other coaches, but that truly was our goal. Pay for the Shakeology so we don't have to pay for it, because that I was paying for it. She wasn't, so she wasn't bringing in income. And that's how we started. So working out, drinking the Shakeology, and then, like I said, Cancun was my aha moment. That's really where I remember that day vividly, because it was the most stressful day of going to the airport, where from my place to JFK is about 45 minutes with traffic or whatever, 40 minutes. We got all the way there to realize that Gab left Matias's ear infection medicine at the house. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna make it all the way back to go back again. And it was snowing. And I'm like, listen, if for any reason I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go back, but don't check my bag in, because you know what? You'll end up going on this trip alone, and I'm cool staying home. You guys go, take the trip. It's just not gonna happen. And I gotta tell you that, like I said, from where I live to JFK is at least 45 minutes. It was snowing, and I was flying. I was flying in my car, catching myself like, the car can go out of control any minute. I can have an accident. And I wasn't even thinking that. And I made it. I made it back to the hotel, to the airport. There was a lot of FUs conversation. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to grab Gab by the neck. And literally, I was just like, I thought I had an ulcer that morning. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. And it happened. We went, sweating, jumped on that plane. And I'm so glad that something was meant for there would be barely any traffic, that I didn't have an accident getting back to the airport, because it was an unforgettable trip for us, where I really started, we attended some of the courses there. We met a lot of the people who've been doing this for a few years now and what they've been doing for their life. And it wasn't BS stories. It was really nonchalant. It was genuine stories of what people have been doing. And then I just started looking at Gab, and I'm seeing that she's doing it. And I'm seeing that the only people who are at these trips are people who are trying to advance their business, and they are. And it was fully paid. I think we took our moms for the trip so that they can babysit Matias. And it was an awesome trip. It was definitely an awesome trip. Got to, work out with all the trainers, meet new people. And we started meeting just all these big heavy hitters who have been making a lifestyle. And I just said to myself, here I am stressed with corporate America. And these people are talking about, I'm going to stay another week. The Success Club trip ends here, but we're going to another resort in Mexico. And I'm like, damn, that sounds good. And I just started thinking like, wow, how is that going to look for us if we continue to go down this road where we can really be flexible and, and enjoy life better by design, as we all hear, without having the stresses of having somebody to tell you when you can take vacation or just be limited to 2 weeks vacation. So that was my biggest aha moment. So that trip came and went, and I'm like, all right, Gab, keep going. I'm like, you still within the 3 years. That was still a year, so keep going. Then she made it to the New Leadership Conference in Los Angeles, which I didn't go with her because I had my corporate meeting as well at the same time. And she went out to Los Angeles with her mother, Matias, learned a bunch of stuff, took photos. And I'm like, another trip that she earned that was continuing to advance her trip, because for you to make it to the new leadership conference, you need to be a 2-star diamond. Excuse me, I'm still, my throat still hurts from being cold, sick. So that was actually the first trip. The new leadership was first, then Cancun. And that's where I had my aha moment. As you can see in quotes, I said, this is for reals. I'm like, okay, this is for reals. So let's do it. Let's keep going. Then we went to the summit in Nashville. She earned her summit ticket. It was just her and I. Actually, I'm sorry. There was a group of us that went. And it was another aha moment, learning, listening to all the big coaches, going through all the workshops, listening to all the motivational speakers. That's a PD in itself. And it was like, let's keep going. Then the cruise came. And that was our second trip. And I'm like, okay, never been on a cruise before. Let's do it. And the bad side of that trip is that Matias was in his running rapid stages. So I traced him from one end of the boat to the other the whole time I was there. But the fact is, I guess I didn't pay for that trip. So it was awesome. So we did that. So that was another trip. Keep going, Gap. You keep going. So she's showing me the money. For me, it's like, okay, this is for real. We keep going. Then we went to the leadership conference, which in order to get to that, you need to be a 5-star diamond. And that was on our vision board. And we said, wouldn't we love? I said, all these guys and gals from Beachbody, they take like 4 or 5 trips a year. I'm like, and it's the majority of them are paid for. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, I can't wait till we get to that point. And sure enough, in October, we went to Coronado Bay in San Diego. It was chilly here, nice and warm over there. Got to rub elbows again with all the top. This is 5-star and above, elite, meeting different people, just talking and seeing what they were talking about and what their spouses were saying. And this looks different. It looks, and what I noticed is that it looks where husband and wife teams, where they're both coaches and they're both bringing in people, wife alone, and they're supported by their husband, husband alone, and they're supported by their wife. So this has no, what we found is that, and when hearing the speakers were top 10 coaches, where her husband is sort of like the back office, but for real, it's serious because they have a huge team. His wife tried to force him to be a coach, and he realized that he was in sales as well, and he gave it a shot. And he said to himself, this really just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me to be sort of like the face of the business, but in conjunction, we work together, and I support her for everything. And that's just what works for us. And that's kind of how I've sort of integrated it in my role with Gab, where a lot of the decisions that we do for the team, we speak about it together. Ideas, we run ideas behind, with each other. I'm not on every single call because a lot of times I'm working, but, I feel like the major things and events I try to make myself part of, because that's only going to allow me to learn as well and get to better know the business as well, even though I'm not actively being a coach, but I do help her and I do, refer people to her, which she starts. So we work it that way. So I just threw that in there because that's what I learned at Coronado Bay at the leadership conference. And then Punta Cana is happening. And the beauty of Punta Cana is that we're blessed, because when we went to Cancun and the cruise, we would see all these people with their teams and everybody having a great time because you're enjoying the fruits of your labor. And that's where the husbands or the wives become believers at these meetings. They truly do, because that's where I became a believer. And this year, we're lucky that we're not going alone. The Roses are going with us. Who else is going? Nilda's going. Nilda and Bo, the Petrovs are going with us. I mean, this is going to be like CeeLo's going, and this is Carolina's going. And this is like, I know that actually Michelle got in, but they can't make it. But they got in. But let's say they did go, now we would be like, whoa, at that vision that we had where it was just Gab and I, and we really didn't know anybody. And then, yeah, we would mingle and we talk, but it's like, when you're with your family, you stick to your family, and then you kind of are on the outs. Now we feel like we're truly going with our family, and we see that evolution. And because of her consistency over time, and getting this team, our problems getting bigger, and I mean that in a good way, that's where showing me the money, and that's where I'm all in. My cards are all in. I don't doubt this business one bit at all. and this is just me. Once again, I'm not trying to convince anybody here. I'm just allowing you to know why I continue to support the team. So I'm looking forward to Punta Cana. It's going to be a great time. So looking forward to that. And it's really going to be the groundbreaking year because it's going to be the year that we're not alone. So that's going to be awesome. I'm going to get to see Rudy in a Speedo, which is fantastic. I can't wait. And next stops, we got Vegas, which is the leadership conference. So they changed it from San Diego to Vegas. So it looks like, Vegas will probably be there like 2-3 times this year for other events as well. But we will be, God willing, in Vegas for the leadership conference in October. And then next year we're looking at Riviera Maya, which we're already registered for.
And a lot of
team members have registered as well So this is already becoming, I'm seeing as that spouse that this is becoming a regular activity where we're planning for these events already because that's on the schedule. It's actually kind of funny because we're talking about how do we fit like truly personal vacation because a lot of the vacations being provided by Beachbody, so it's kind of crazy. Yeah. So that to me, like I said, is showing the proof. Most importantly, the income progression. It's been slow because as you guys learn this business and realize that we came in on a weak leg. There's people that are blessed enough that join teams that are put on strong legs. And some of you guys might be on those strong legs because of the team that Gab has created, but start seeing the money right away. They're doing a little bit of activity and the money starts to kind of roll in. Unfortunately, that wasn't for how we started or Gab in her leg, but that wasn't the way that Lindsay Matway, and for you guys who know Lindsay Matway, she makes about $3 million doing this a year, and she was on the inside of a weak leg, and she's making ridiculous money where, I follow them for the inspiration of how they live, so it is possible. And it's possible because she's been doing this for 6 years, and we're at 3 years, and we're seeing the progression happen. So in 2015, Gab tripled her income. She tripled her income. And in 2016, she gave herself a $30,000 raise doing this. And she's at the point where she was making what she was making at her HR job in 3 years and allowing herself to give her these raises where, let's be honest, who's going to give you a $30,000 raise at your job? They're going to give you a merit increase. They give me a merit increase of 1% to 3% of my salary for a year, which is nothing, right? So you're seeing the income projection. And like I said, I'm not crazy because if the money wasn't there, then I would say, you know what, babe, we might need to reevaluate and maybe this ain't for you. But that's not the case, thank God, because of what she's been doing to get to this point. So that's why I continue. What's that?
I gotta read the income disclaimer.
Oh, yes.
You gotta do it.
Yes.
You gotta do it. Beachbody does not guarantee, right? Does not guarantee any level of success or income from the Team Beachbody coach opportunity. Each coach's income depends on his or her own effort, diligence, and skill.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And that income projection is what has allowed us to has allowed us to give back in many ways. Besides doing what we're doing outside of Beachbody with helping, the homeless, the extreme poor build houses, but give back to the team with events, and dinners and things like that. So what do you need to ask yourself? And the main thing is give yourself 1 year. Give yourself a year from where you were and say, I'm going to be here 1 more year. And if you truly are not seeing any progression in your business, that's something that you have to, once again, remember, it's about you. You have to get back to yourself and ask yourself, number one, is this for me? Or am I doing what I need to be doing that would warrant for me to see the progression? So you need to set goals and plan and obviously execute them. Because without goals, long-term and short-term goals, you don't have somewhere to go. You want to make sure that you have a short-term goals so that you can check yourself and say, okay, things are working, and then eventually we'll get to those long-term goals. You got to dream big. Since we started this, once I had that aha moment in Cancun, Gab and I, nonstop, we dream big. We dream big because why not? Why not us? And as long as we continue to do what we're doing and supporting the team, how we feel is the best way that we can support the team and nourish the teammates to continue to grow, which is something she totally did not have. So I once again, I want to hit her head big. I don't know, she's not like that, but there's not a lot of people who are willing to do what she did. Figure it out for herself because she had no upline support. Dig in deep because she felt that right away for her, this is something she wanted to do, and she just self-taught herself. And I tell her every day, I wouldn't have done it. I pretty much would have just threw the towel in after, the free Shakeology, that's good for me, and then eventually that would have died out, and that's it. But she really tried to figure it out, and it's just crazy that in the last 3 years where this team has gone, the activities that we're doing, the various people, that we have on the team, the activities, the fit clubs, the workshops that are going to be coming up. It's just to me, it's mind-boggling, and I see it, the progression and why it's happening. Be extremely patient, and we put double X there because you have to be patient, because PD is the cure for the microwave mentality, and prior to PD, I'm very impatient, and I would have said, nah, it's not working. Let's do this. Get a real job, right? And you have to realize that as long as you're being true to yourself and those small activities daily that are going to compound into big, results, as long as you're willing to put the time in and think big, dream big, set those goals and plan and execute and be patient, you're going to get there. So like I said, be diligent with your daily activities. That will yield you the big results. And never stop learning, never, humble yourself. And as long as you're an open book, you're an open sponge, if you will, and you're taking on ideas, we are constantly taking in new ideas and implementing them into our own style. And that's what has allowed us to evolve, because what got us to this point is not going to get us to the next point. So you have to continue to evolve and think outside the box and do different things. And you need to surround yourself with the like-minded people. And that's really big for a lot of reasons. And I think that we can all think maybe with this example, and I'm not going to use an example, but I in my head, I know of other things that I have done where when you share your goals with people that don't have the same vision as you, number one, they don't understand that goal. And number two, they're quickly to poo-poo on your goals. They're quickly to say, really? You're going to do that? And then they make you doubt yourself. And I have done that countless times within my career, within different things, because I was sharing what I wanted to do with people that just didn't have the right vision or the right mindset. So, and we've truly, and Rudy always says that it's not every day that you, at this age, that you get to meeting new people and really taking a liking. We're not all going to be best friends, but, trusting in those people. Nowadays you have your clique, you have the people you grew up with, the people you went to college with, the people from your neighborhood, your family, and you have acquaintances, but you always have your core, right? And not to say that you don't have your core. No, you're always going to have your core, but this business has allowed us to expand out to be around people that if it really wasn't for this business, we would have never met. We would have never met. So for me, that's crazy, right? It's just like, wow, because I'm around people right now that I say to her that we would have never met because of this business. And it's gotten really, it's been awesome. It's been awesome, meeting new people and just, having, just living a different chapter in your life. It's just awesome. So that's that. And why do I continue to willingly be the back office for Team Advent? And it's literally because, I always tell Gab, I say to her, I always check up on her. And what I mean by that is, how you feeling? Because you're going to have frustrations. You have your ups, you have your downs, you have your big ups, you have your big downs, because that's just part of nature, right? And then we have to reevaluate and change certain things here. But how are you feeling? Because truly, she's built what she's built to this point based on passion, really finding what she likes to do and doing it, because she doesn't have to do it. It wasn't being paid like a job. She's been really for 2 years working for free, and spending all this time and then investing all this time of her and taking away from family time. And we're now getting our schedule in place where obviously she's tweaking the schedule, the times we meet as a team, because that's we don't need to work as necessarily hard as we did when she was building the foundation of this. But now that there's systems in place and teammates that are stepping up, things change. But she stays true to the 4 vitals, and we all know what the 4 vitals are. We continue to learn. She definitely, she shows up. She continues to be the best she can be, a representative of the product, which is key because, obviously, how are you going to earn credibility? And she continues to do that every day, and to the point where sometimes I have to fight her off and, okay, this is family time and this is that, and now set office hours. And she still has that desire. So that's why I continue to support her, because I know that she is serious about this. Because if she wasn't, she would be taking the Metro North or mass transit to work downtown somewhere. Thank God that's not the case. And the money continues. So, at the end of the day, we're helping people live fulfilling lifestyles. We're saving lives, and we're not looking at them as dollar signs. But this is a business. This is a business as well that we have to continue to grow. And when we look at our financials, since day one, it has been growing up to the right. And as you know, as a business, for a business to become profitable, you always want it up to the right. And you want to see that curve. And that's what's been progressing. Slowly but surely it has been progressing, and we haven't been going backwards. And that's what continues for me to support her, because I know that eventually, and I'll put this out there, and we've put it out there, eventually, she will retire me. That's a goal that where we could totally have freedom, and I can, invest my time into other things that I want to do and not have to rely on corporate America, because as we all know, corporate America doesn't give two shits about any of us. So we do see this as our gateway to a better lifestyle. And we're seeing that, we're definitely seeing that. Our mentality is there. And that's why I continue to support her with all aspects of the team as much as I can, and show up to every program with her. And I think that, we're the envy of a lot of people. And I don't mean that by like showing off, but, I hear coaches come up to her, coaches that are not on our team, coaches that are fairly established coaches that say, wow, we heard it on Saudi's call. When she spoke to our team, she said, I didn't retire my husband. I have no problem if she retires me. I would say it. I'll be a Mr. Mom. I'm confident in my masculinity, but she said that she wants her husband to be like us. And this is somebody who's been doing this as a millionaire, as a 15-star superstar diamond. And she wants her husband to model someone like us, like to be that support system that I don't know, I don't know if it's there or not, but that's what she said on our call. So I hold my head pride, I'm prideful of that, and my head up with that, and that I continue to support her and moving forward. So that's why I continue to support her and be, like I said, the support system of the team. So with that, I know I spoke a lot. Hopefully this is something that maybe clicked in you guys, but like I said, it wasn't a thing to convince, but it was just why I do and why I continue to do what I do for the team. That's pretty much it. Questions? Why I spend 2 hours with Rudy trying to put up a banner at a fit club? That's why I continue trying to do what I do. I think the third time we figure it out, it's going to be much quicker.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah, we figure it out. So, hey, man, any questions for me? Yeah, that's the problem. My phone is having problems. Jacked up? Yeah.
Hey, Jorge, so I was going to ask you, just from a guy's point of view, right? You have, you've been seeing this for a while. The whole beach body, the whole business. It's been what, 3 years now, going on 4?
Yes.
No. It's 3 years at the end of this month.
At the end of this month, it'll be 3 years.
Okay, so 3 years right now. How do you feel like you support her best in this whole business throughout this whole time? How have you supported her the best in terms of whether, before I even put anything in your head, I just would like to know from you. Oh,
how I supported her the best?
How do you feel? Like, what's the best thing that you do day in, day out to give her support?
Yeah, that's a great question, because for me, I'm going to go back to it. Some of you guys are probably sick of hearing it, but it's been the personal development, because it's really allowed. I mean, I'm not going to lie. 4 years ago, lottery mentality. I would love to win the lotto. I like nice things. And then you just get for me, it's just been a shift of, prioritizing what I feel like, obviously now having a son and so it's funny because I say to her, the way we started off 2016 and the way we ended 2016, when we reflected back and the people that we met and the business ideas that I encountered, because my personal development has branched into like getting to meet people that do real estate, which is something I really want to do. And I know that that's my ticket once again to not rely on corporate America besides what she's doing. But at the same time, I have goals and aspirations of things that I want to do as well. And it's just, when you open one door and it leads to another door. And, it sounds cliche or sounds cheesy, but I've met so many people that if it wasn't for what she's doing and the PD that I was doing, I would have never met. Besides, I'm not even talking about the coaches. I'm talking about just people outside of Beachbody that I have met that have just, sparked curiosity in my mind and said, whoa, things that college don't teach you, they have that more of an entrepreneurial mindset and really do and think that there's better than just really grinding it in a 9 to 5. I've been blessed that I have a great job. I just got a new job, a great job, but I don't want to be working there. I really don't want. I just gave up 2 years of being miserable, and PD saved me through that. Of the books that she's provided for me that have allowed me to really get my mind right. So that's what I've done. Continue to plug in whatever PD that I've been plugging in to get my mind right has allowed me to be patient and has allowed me to understand the things that she's doing and why she's doing them. So I feel like that is what I feel like that's been the best way of doing that, because, I've been, I'm not going to, I have no shame until I'll get home, late, and Gab is grinding on the computer. What do you want for dinner? I'll start cooking. I could tell you this much, that if my mind wasn't right, maybe my machista attitude would have come out and said, really, Dad? I just got home from work. There's no food, right? And there's a lot of, maybe there's husbands who think like that here, or there's wives, because there's working wives. And just that PD for me has got me in that mindset that we're in this together, right? So where she's slacking, I try to pick it up. And where I'm slacking, she tries to pick it up. And, that cohesiveness as a team, and by all means, not a perfect relationship. So I'm not even going to say that we're a perfect relationship, because we all have our issues and we all have our things. It's marriage. It's a tough thing to do, because that's also helped me to strengthen the marriage, be a better father, just be a better person to be around. I feel like that is what has allowed me to really allow her to keep going forward.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. No, I definitely agree. PD has helped us. I mean, nobody's got a perfect relationship. We all have a lot of issues. God knows you need patience with Gabby, so, I know that.
Absolutely.
Which is why I require PD when you sign up on this team. You got to do it. You got to deal with me.
Yeah, no, it makes sense in every way, shape, and form, because it's a tough business, and we got kids. We have, issues at work, issues at home, issues everywhere that can always come chipping at you, just like, negativity from outside, from people's posts. Today I think somebody posted on one of Wendy's meal pics is that all you eat? That kind of negativity. And if you're not just positive about it, like, explain to people. People look for things to chip away when they know that's not all you eat. That's not all you do, the only workout, whatever it might be. So definitely agree, huge, big time.
And one of the things I'll add to that, and you just, when people make, and I'm not a big social media guy, as I just got on Facebook this year and even know how to work it. And I haven't posted in God knows how long on Instagram. But anyway, so, we're on this platform of social media, and Gab and I talk about things, and, unfortunately there's catty people in this life, and I'm not talking about our team. I'm talking about outside the team. I'm talking for, in your instance, if somebody is making a comment about you, Wendy, and this is not about you, but I'm just saying you brought the example, they're not going to make a comment about you if you were doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? They're going to make a comment about you because you're doing something. And I always go back to Grant Cardone, 10X rule. If people are not talking about you, it's because you're not worth talking, right? So if people are hating on you, if people are making bad, stupid comments, that all you eat, well, last I checked, Wendy's freaking diesel. She's not anorexic. That's just somebody who has a problem with themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they have a problem with themselves, so they feel like they need to, instill that hatred on other people so that they can make themselves feel better, right? And I say this to Gabby, if people are not talking about you, when we go into certain events, and this is not about that because that's not the type of people we are, but when Gab comes into a room of people that are not on our team, and you make people uncomfortable for whatever reason, that's their insecurity, right? Because they're watching what's happening, right? That's not her issue. That's a them issue, right? So as we all know, we want haters. We want haters because that's what motivates the fire. That's what eventually pays the bills. is the haters, believe it or not. You want them to be around because in all reality, they're just cheerleaders, but they just haven't realized it yet, you know? And it's an envy thing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. And that's what I've learned a lot too, because, you know, and that's where, you know, with PD, Gab is that, I mean, if Gab was that person and someone made some dumb remark on like, oh my God, it would have been like, you know, F you, this and that. But the PD mindset and realizing that it's not an us issue, it's a you issue. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you say that, because that's exactly how I responded.
Yep.
This is actually somebody that's made a comment before. I think Gabby had put it in the chat, like questioning, like, is that, you know, I like to eat, not drink. Do you remember that, Gabby?
Mm-hmm.
So the same person commented, but it's funny because she's obviously interested.
She's been watching you for a very long time.
Right. But anyway, I responded in that manner, like, no, that's actually, this is what I had for lunch. And I showed her my nice plate. Oh, so that's your snack. Oh, and I said, yeah, you know, this program really works. And so she even mentioned, oh, it's just a healthy lifestyle, not the program. I said, well, yeah, it is definitely living a healthy lifestyle, but there are people, unfortunately, that do not know what clean eating is or portion control. So this program helps them to start. She goes, oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I could have said like, bitch.
Yeah,
like,
you could have.
I like to eat, you know what I mean? But I just kept it like, let me explain it to you and show you. And that was it. I shut it down.
Yep. And that just reminded me to say one other thing as to why you should always give yourself a year. And when you get to that year, you evaluate and say, give yourself another year. Because this last summer, you know, I'll give you an example really quickly. Every year we go to a pool party, which is a UB alumni from my fraternity that I was in, and we go and a bunch of people. We have a good time. And the 2 years prior to this past year, a lot of women that go to this pool party, and it was just like, oh, I see you doing your thing online or whatever, and then that was it. That was the end of the conversation. It was just whatever. And I can't even count. And these are people that Gab have reached out to, and it was a no. And because Gab gave herself another year, and that PD's allowed us to be patient. I mean, we went to every single outing that we got invited to outside of Beachbody with friends, outside friends, and Gab left there with 2 new people each time, at least 2 or 3 people that said no. It became a yes. It became a, you know what, I got to get into this. It became where husbands were like having an argument with their wives and said, babe, you should do what Gab does. No, I'm good the way I am. You know, I'm sexy, and I'm not here to judge, because that's not what it's about. And then the husband looking like, well, babe, you should think about it. And it was like, whoa, that got uncomfortable, right? And then we left it at that. And then 2 days later, boom. Yeah, Gab, you know what? So talk to me a little bit more about that. And that only has happened because of being here an extra year, being credible, people not seeing that it's a flavor of the month. You gotta keep in mind that a lot of people are used to having family members that have a new idea. I have a new idea this year, right? And this is what I'm going to do, right? And we all have that family member that they're doing something new every year, right? And it was, you know, this year my favorite color is blue, right? And then next year I'm all about red, right? So there's not that consistency, so they don't have any credibility. And when people start seeing that you've been doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and Gab continues to, and I'm just saying her, but and it's all you guys, but Gab continues to invite the same people that have told her no. You know, not obviously every single day, but following up 3 months later, following up 6 months later, and then realizing that she's not going away. I'm for real with this. You know, so you're either going to join me or not, but I'm going to continue going. And we've had people saying, you're still doing that? Yeah. Like, oh, okay. So talk to me about that. And it's just, we get a kick out of it. So we have a list of people that we call them that with the no's, absolutely no, not interested, not my cup of tea, who become yeses. And we talk about you, and then I'll get home. Guess who hit me up today? And I'm like, who? Remember the person that such and such and such and such? Yeah. Well, she's on the team now. Get out. I'm like, really? And it's because it's sort of like they need to just watch, because everybody's watching you guys. Everybody's watching. And I'm not saying anything new, but they're just, they're hiding out. They're just hiding out, not maybe liking a photo. And I know Rudy and everybody talked about this in the past, but eventually they come out of the woodworks. And that only happens if you're patient and if you give yourself that extra year and you start building up that credibility. So that's why, like I said, that's why I continue to support Gab as a husband.
Awesome. We went over.
Yeah, we went over.
Our call. Thank you guys for joining. Jorge is very passionate, clearly, about this topic. So I appreciate you guys staying on for a little longer. If you guys have any other questions, hit him up, not me. But have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Next week.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Good night.